I'd love to get your thoughts on the Chiefs and it's funny how it's all being boiled down to Kadarius Toney, because he is the personification of what is wrong with the Chiefs offense and potentially unfixable about the Chiefs offense. And it's just one man. I get it. It is a team game. But your 2 cents on that being the indication of the Chiefs' ability to win it again right now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think it's similar to what we just said about the Eagles. When you keep seeing the same narrative keep showing back up, it's like you can't knock it out and say, all right, we've gotten past this throughout your season. I think for them offensively, the lack of production and then, just drops and mistakes by this receiver skill group has continued to be over and over again. They can't beat the narrative, and I think that usually ends up being something that dooms you in the end. And so I think for this team, they need a Josh Allen Buffalo Bills turnaround at some point where they get hot, or you feel like inevitably they're going to end their season because of the things that have been who they are all season long.
Well, the schedule does provide that runway to get hot.
They're
taking on Vegas to start the Christmas Day triple header. Then after that, Kansas City has Cincinnati in their house.
Watch out.
I know. I mean, the way Jake
out.
Browning is playing, that may be the one that costs them any shot at getting high enough in the standings where all you need is the 1 seed to lose and they wind up hosting a championship game again. And then they're at the Chargers, which we all know is just going to be a roll the football out sort of thing, one would think. So that's possible, but you're already hearing Andy, they're not benching Toney. Like they're going to keep rolling with him until he gets straight and or not. That's the way I'm looking at it. And it's frustrating people like, Chris, you've been saying,
yeah,
you got to sit him.
You can't play him. He's going to cost you a game. He's already cost you 2. Why are you giving the chance that he might blow a playoff game or maybe the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I don't, to me, that's probably the thing that is stuck out the most that's agitating is like eventually at some point there has to be some repercussions for letting us down in a game. Not that, hey, all right, we still believe in you, we're still going to work with you, and we're still going to plan to have you up and available, but we're going to keep you off the field because clearly, mentality-wise, he hasn't been able to handle it. After the mistake last week, for him to still come out and blame the ref, it's just, blows my mind. Like, hey, just take accountability and move on. Who cares, really, right? At the end of the day, move on from the mistake, but it continues the same topics in its defense. Instead of proof on the field, it's more of like, hey, just keep defending themselves. But to me, this is the epitome of I see better than I hear. Like, they've got to go out and show it on Sundays and Mondays for us to believe it.
Well, then put your helmet back on instead of your analyst answer that you appreciate you giving me right there. You're in the locker room. Do you say something to him? As you're a leader, you got the C on your chest. Do you go up to Kadarius Toney and sit him down or talk to him or just
I would
stay
imagine
away?
In that locker room with Travis and some of those guys, somebody has done that. I think at the end of the day, though, guys are responsible for their own, behaviors in the sense of how they handle the media, how they handle questions. You really can't address that per se. You can address, hey, when we go on the football field, this is how we're going to play. I think that him playing or not, though, and being involved in the offense, that's more of coaching and whether they decide to put him out there. I've always said this, you can't, as a coach, you can't expect me to police a locker room that you won't punish. So, in other words, if you say, oh, well, the player should step in, well, yeah, but if I tell him, hey, dude, you're not playing for us and you put him in the game, then I lose all credibility, right? So the coach has to make the stance first and say, hey, this is the standard of how we're going to play football as a Kansas City Chief. And then the player can back that up. And that's really how that has to go because inevitably the coaches are the ones who get to make those decisions, not the players. And it needs to stay in that line.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern for free.